Hi everybody, this is Susan with StudioArt.com, and I also have a Facebook group that's StArt, Stamping Up Art. And I wanted to show you something just really fun with some of the color groups and using the new Rooted in Nature stamp set. It's a big stamp set, and we're only going to be using a couple of the leaves and a couple of the sentiments today, but we don't need the dies for this particular card. But it does come with, if you bundle, a nice set of dies, and I've seen some beautiful poinsettia Christmas cards made with the leaves. So lots of ways to take it, lots of things to make. But what I wanted to show you today was watercolor on shimmer paper. So here's a couple of the different color groups. And I also did a couple of them on watercolor paper. And you can see it does have a little bit different look. The one thing I'll tell you, the watercolor paper will handle a little more water. The shimmer paper does an amazing job with this. But the watercolor paper, you do need to add a little more pigment to get the vibrance that you get with the way that the shimmer paper kind of bounces the colors. So, and before I get too far, I wanted to let you know that I have a October hostess code going, and for anyone that places an order of $50 or more using the October hostess code, I will send you one of the color collection card sets. So I made these, and they include every current color that Stampin' Up has, and they're separated out by the collections. So you can take this with you when you're out and about trying to match things, have it handy in your studio. It's just an awesome resource to have all those colors at your fingertips, and it kind of speaks back to the cards. These look a little bit like paint swatch cards to me, so I thought that would be kind of fun. So again, if you place an order of $50 or more on my October hostess code, I'll send those. Just please be careful when you check out that you do not check no contact. You have an option on the website to choose no contact, and if you do that, I won't see your address or email or any way to get in touch with you to make sure that I can send this along as a thank you. So, and in addition, if you're new to me, I also have a rewards program, and you can print this form out, see this form, if you go to StartStudioArt.com. But for every $50 you spend, you get a reward, and after 10 rewards, you can get a stamp set, or if you're local, you can attend a workshop of your choice. So the details are on the website, which is under construction, so kind of bear with me as we get it fine-tuned, but the vitals are there. So, alrighty, we're gonna start out making a version of this card, and I will let you know. We're gonna use the shimmer paper, and this sheet of shimmer paper is cut to 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 for the background. So we're leaving ourselves a little bit of room to show the cardstock strips, and these are cut 1 inch by 3 3/4. Now you could be savvy and take a little extra time and cut that and piece them together, but I'll be honest, it's kind of a fuss. I tried on one when I was trying to make the most of a piece of cardstock, but that is entirely up to you. The Be Strong, Be Happy, Be You is also part of the Rooted in Nature set that we used here, and the inside I finished up with this You Are Wonderful and a couple of the leaf stamps. So it's pretty inclusive. Don't need a ton of stuff to get going on it. And I want to let you know that Morel Taylor As an Aussie demonstrator inspired the card design. So, all right. First and foremost, whenever you're working with water, you want to use permanent ink. So in this case, I'm using the Staz-on black. And for this card, you know, it's supposed to be falling leaves, so it's supposed to be a little bit random. And I kind of like that idea of just the colors tumbling, kind of seeing the idea of kind of seeing the wind in the action. So both the large and the small leaves, I'll pull those in. And I like having things kind of coming off the edge, crossing over, especially when you can see at the crossover points a little bit of a color blend. And I think that's kind of cool. Letting those colors mix a little bit, having fun with that. So just random action on our leaves. And one of the nice things about the shimmer paper, maybe go about like that. It doesn't need a ton of time to dry, and it does show the detail without having to use the Stamparatus and try again and again. I'm a little bit cautious when I use the watercolor paper because the paper itself has that texture. So I tend to use the Stamparatus with watercolor paper to make sure I get a really good impression. Now I want a little bit of negative space, but maybe not quite this much. Set this guy here. And I'll take a look. Maybe when we get done with that, I'll think that's enough, and maybe I'll need to add another leaf. But if you're concerned about the dry time, you can give it a shot with the heat gun. Definitely, I let those go a little bit longer on the watercolor paper. But even that by itself is pretty. So the colors I'm using, we have, let me make sure I'm staying on screen. Poppy Parade, Melon Mango, Grapefruit Grove, and I want to say Pineapple, it's a new in color. Pineapple Punch. Yes, Pineapple Punch is the last. Sorry for my reach. And I'm just going to pop the pads. I put a little bit of ink in the lid using the ink pad holder itself as a little bit of a palette. And I'm using Aquapainters. Just mixing a little bit of color. The one thing I'm a little bit cautious of with the shimmer paper, if you get the color really saturated when you first start to paint, you can't thin it up later. So you do want to be a little bit careful about not going too strong right out the gate. And then if you want the colors to blend, you actually want to work fairly quickly before the water dries. And so you'll see me like coming over that edge again, making sure I hit. And then if you want a little bit of interest, it's nice to leave either a soft spot or just a couple little skips where we can come back in and add a second color over. So I do want to get this a little more saturated. I'm just working along the stems. I really enjoy painting, and so I might tend to linger on it longer than we really need to, but it's fun. Just loading a little color to the edge there and pulling it in, trying to preserve some of that variation in the saturation. And then for that little bit that overlaps here, and definitely like these leaves that have a lot more overlap, if you don't want the color to kind of pull, you do want to let that dry. And again, one of the really nice benefits of the shimmer paper, it dries pretty quickly. So I think I might want to do this little guy also in the same color, this poppy braid. Just a beautiful rich pigment. And I'm kind of pushing the color, moving the color around, purposely trying not to, you know, ignore the pattern that's in the leaf and just kind of fill in the field. The brush strokes, you can make things super smooth, but also, especially if you're working a little bit wet into wet, you can get a little more the natural feel of the darker color on the veins, or that this is, you know, I'm gonna just load in some color here at the tip of this, because that's what happens in the fall. You'll find these leaves that have just crazy vibrant color in a section, and it might be a little more muted out someplace else. So we'll let that maybe here too towards the stem. So yeah, and then I think you get the idea of that. I'll work those through. One of the wonderful things about Aquapainters, you just can kind of bleed the color off and keep going. So if you're using traditional paintbrushes, you have to have the cup of water and rinse it out. And I've been known to accidentally rinse my brushes in my mug of tea and that sort of thing. So I can't say enough about the Aquapainters. Having come from a watercolor background, I didn't reach out and get them when they were first available because, to be honest, I'll admit I was kind of a watercolor snob. But these brushes have an amazing ability to hold snap. This is the first set I've done. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many cards, backgrounds, and paintings with these, and they have amazing snap. They're not getting burred up where you'll see sometimes paintbrushes, the individual bristles will start to run rogue. These just don't do that. Kind of not sure how they got such an amazing watercolor brush at such a low price point, because through my years of watercolor I have invested dearly in some brushes that were touted to be amazing, good snap, durable, all that, and to be quite honest, I've been at times disappointed. So I did want to show you at least one. I think you get the idea of like working your way around the different leaves. And I think I'm going to come back with the pineapple punch and show you like how much of a glow you can get by layering a second color. And I'm just going to come into this leaf that I first painted, and I'm just going to warm it up. So here we are. I think I've got enough color laid in on these, and you can see I warmed up a little bit here and there. Let a little color variation show. And then to finish things up, I'm so sorry, I'm still fighting the cold, and that's why I haven't had a couple of videos the last week or so. But in any event, to finish things up, I'll kind of take a look at the orientation I want. I have a tendency for this upper left. It might be kind of cute to, you know, put it in a little bit different place. And I'll pop this up on dimensionals. So the Be Strong, Be Happy, Be You was cut out using the layering circles framelits and the black with a little scalloped version. Then I'll attach these with just a little two-sided adhesive and pop the whole thing up on the Heavyweight Whisper White base using dimensionals. So if you have any questions, be sure to get in touch with me, and keep in mind that for October, if you use the hostess code online for your online orders of 50 or more, I will send along to you one of my color collection card sets. So you'll have all of the colors that, you know, redone since the 2018 color revamp. So you'll have actual cardstock colors. This is not a printout. The actual strips of the cardstock. You'll have them all in one place. So thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have some fun being creative.